Hi, this is Catherine Ray Scott with Catherine Ray Scott Charities, and I'm here today with part 4 of the House of New Beginnings testimony on how the Father had called me to start a home for unwed pregnant teenagers. Well, if you recall, we went to visit all the 14 people, including the 7 pastors. All the 7 pastors and most of the other 7 were not interested in our program enough to finance it or to even promote it, but they were all gung-ho about praying for me, which I appreciated very much. However, now that I had the vision in writing and the partner, I said to myself, well, Lord, I can't really begin this because my husband hasn't said anything. And I wasn't about to say anything to my husband because, well, things were a little bit strained at the time, and plus I was waiting for the Father to deal with my husband without me having to say anything at all. But somehow or another he knew I was called to start the House of New Beginnings, and he really felt that I was crazy, kind of agreed with the pastors at the time. But the Father is always in control. And one day I awoken and I saw on the kitchen table a newspaper article with a short note. And the note said, "You need to see this guy." And the article that was in the Hunterdon County Democrat was about a small church minister. And he was picketing in front of the Hunterdon County Hospital against abortion, and he made the headlines in the Hunterdon County Democrat. So I said, okay, I got my husband's permission. I have the partner, and I had it in writing. So I said, okay, I really got to do this then. So I made an appointment with the pastor of the small church. It was the Orthodox Presbyterian Church at the time, there in New Jersey. And we talked. And it was exciting to see the gentleman appear to be born again. And at that time, I was, like I said, young in the faith and believed the only people that were saved, quote unquote, were from my church and in my denomination, and believed the way I did. But it became very apparent that this pastor was definitely born again. And he had heard my story, and then he invited me to talk in front of his congregation. And I'm thinking, oh my, I've never talked in front of anybody. This would be hard to do and whatnot. And he said, no, don't worry about it. I want you to tell everybody about what had occurred. And I said, okay. So the following Sunday, I went to his church, and I just gave the testimony like you've already heard, how the Father had called me, how I went to the Planned Parenthood, how we had gotten it in writing, how I had gotten a partner, and now how my husband has agreed that I should go ahead and start this House of New Beginnings. After I gave them the complete testimony on how I had been called, 2 doctors stood up that were members of that particular church. Their names were Dr. and Mrs. Eck, actually Dr. and Dr. Eck, and they volunteered all of their medical services to any of the participants of the House of New Beginnings. Well, this was a little bit mature because at the moment it was, just a vision, and we hadn't even gotten a steering committee or anybody else involved just yet, but it was very encouraging to have 2 medical doctors who were sound in mind, who believed in the vision, and God had moved in their hearts to volunteer. So again, I'm happy to say that the Father moved not only through my husband with the article that he had given me and shown me, but he had moved through the pastor who was obedient to God's word about marching against abortion, that brought me to him, and then him to allow me to speak at his church. And then the church had 2 members that were very interested, that were very prominent in the community. And so we were beginning to get started. We prayed about what to do next because I simply did not know what direction I should go in, and you'll see how the Lord worked in the next talk about how House of New Beginnings got started and how the Lord showed us step by step what to do. It's an amazing story. I love it. I should have written it like he had asked me, but anyway, I'm telling it now, and may God be praised. Please listen when you hear the next one, and I believe that'll be part 5. Okay, see you next time. This is Catherine Ray Scott with Catherine Ray Scott Charities, and thank you for listening.